Good evening, everyone. Can you hear okay?
Yes, I did.
Everybody can hear? Fantastic. And I'm awful glad to see everybody. You almost got to have Panasonic vision to see everybody around here. Feel free to circle in if you like. There's been all kinds of lifting of restrictions by the government and the powers to be. So you can tighten up all you want, okay? In any case, I'd like to welcome you to be here tonight. I'm a substitute again. I've been that many times, and tonight I'm substituting. Kevin and myself have been doing it all month for a member that can't be here to chair. So we've been taking turns to be the chairperson. In any case, we'll go ahead and get started. And we're going to do that in an organized manner if I can find the organization schedule. Let's just get settled, and I think we are, and let's open with the serenity prayer, okay? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. I want to read a statement put out by the General Service Office, and it's an open meeting statement. And again, I gotta find it. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we're glad that you're all here, especially newcomers. In keeping with our signets of purpose and our third tradition, which states that the only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. And we ask all that participate confine their discussions to those problems with alcohol. And then we have a preamble, and it goes like this. And the preamble is a twofold document. It tells us what we are and what we're not. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution. Does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. I've asked a couple of our home group members to help open with the regular format, and if I would, I have Brian to come up to read how it works.
Hello, my name is Brian McDonald. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is October 20th or 30th, 2020, and I am a member of the Came to Believe group here. How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you decided you want what we have and are willing to go any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. And some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. Number 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. Number 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Number 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. Number 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Number 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Number 6, we're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. Number 7, humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Number 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. Number 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Number 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. Number 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. Number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Excuse me. Many of us exclaimed, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Do not be discouraged. No one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal adventures before and after make clear 3 pertinent ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our own lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. C, that God could and would if he were sought. Thank you, Brian. Good shut that. Yes, sir.
And I've asked Mary if she would read the traditions. And there we go.
Okay. Isn't this great? Isn't this rich? I'm so glad to be here with you. My name is Mary Wood. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is July 1st, 1998, and I am a member of the Came to Believe home group here in Rocky Mount, and that's a gift. The AA tradition, to those now in its fold, Alcoholics Anonymous has made the difference between misery and sobriety, and often the difference between life and death. AA can, of course, mean just as much to uncounted alcoholics not yet reached. Therefore, no society of men and women ever had a more urgent need for continuous effectiveness and permanent unity. We alcoholics see that we must work together and hang together, else most of us will finally die alone. The 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous are, we AAs believe, the best answers that our experience has yet given to those ever-urgent questions. How can AA best function? And how can AA best stay whole and so survive? The 12 traditions of Alcoholics Anonymous. 1. Our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends upon AA unity. 2. For our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God, as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants. They do not govern. 3. The only requirement for AA membership is a desire to stop drinking. 4. Each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other groups or AA as a whole. 5. Each group has but one primary purpose, to carry its message to the alcoholic who still suffers. 6. An AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the AA name to any related facility or outside enterprise, lest problems of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7. Every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8. Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9. AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues. Hence, the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11. Our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. 12. Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions, ever reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Thank you, Mary. I want to take a moment just this time to thank Brian for reading and Mary for reading, and for all the other members of the home group that went to great length and to put this meeting on. This is the first time for us outside. I know that many of you have been going to some outside meetings, but we arranged with the church to get more space. So anyway, we got coffee and donuts after the meeting now, and then housekeeping. There is a bathroom if you go around the building to our old location, the choir room. There's a bathroom over there if you need to do that. Okay. So I didn't say this, but I will now. My name is Paige Wood, and I'm an alcoholic. And my sobriety birthday is March the 31st, 1989. And I'm a member of the Came to Believe group as well. So get that out of the way. This is a special meeting for us in that the man that we're going to have speak for us tonight has been doing this for over 20 years, coming here this month and sharing his experience, strength, and hope. We've been on his journey as he's gone through sobriety, and he's been sharing that with us. I never get tired of hearing his story or some of your stories. And he's got a wonderful message of hope, and he's known by all, I believe, and that he's a friend of this group and friend of, I would say, any alcoholic that needs help. If you would, help me welcome Dave C. Where you walk up to it and you can lean into it. But
can you hear me all right?
You got it.
I'm an alcoholic. My name's Dave Cook. Hi, everybody. I'm a member of the Rise Above It group in Raleigh, and it's a pleasure to be here again. I often question him, keep asking me. And I'll be honest, I'm getting to the point now in my life where you begin to project a little. And I've been coming down here a lot for the past, 20-some years. And Rocky Mountain has been a part of my life quite a bit because of the fact that, first of all, I coached high school basketball down at Cooper's High School when it was in existence. I had two sisters that lived one in Rocky Mountain, one in Brattleboro, and then later on in life, my mother moved to Rocky Mountain, bought a home in Rocky Mountain. And a lot of that was done after I got sober. But my downfall, a lot of it was right here in Rocky Mountain, and I'll tell a little bit of it tonight, I hope. But by God's grace and because the program works for me, and through the help of some understanding sponsors that have led me with a kind but firm hand, And through the love of two women in my life, my former wife and my present wife, Julie, I haven't found it necessary to take a drink since I got to Alcoholics Anonymous because of the help of people in Alcoholics Anonymous that I've been around. And if I stood here tonight, I was just thinking, 64 years ago, this weekend, I was just leaving Dix Hill. And to get ready, which I didn't know about, Alcoholics Anonymous a little bit later, 64 years ago. And what happened in that time before I got here, I don't want to get hung up on a drunk log tonight. I just want to be thankful for what has been done for me in AA and since I've been here. I was raised in a home, a normal Christian home, divorced in the family when I was 12. My mother raised me, and my two sisters, who passed away 3 or 4 years ago, and sent me off to get an education, and that's where I found booze for the first time. Was in college. And my father was a good man as long as he didn't drink. And it led to a divorce in my home, as I understand it, when I was 12. I didn't know anything about alcohol or any of the effects of it. I didn't know anything about drinking until I was a freshman in college, around fellows that just come back from World War II and knew how to drink. Fellows on the veteran bill, and I was around them long enough to be a part, be in that environment with them, and I began to want to do what the big boys were doing. And that's how I began to drink. I didn't have any problem with it in the beginning. I didn't know what a hangover was. I really didn't know what it was doing to me. And I had a good time with it, even till I finished college. And I don't know, maybe my erratic behavior started when I got ready. I studied engineering, but because of my ability in basketball and being associated, I was always the opportunity to coach high school basketball down in Franklin County and then Nash County and then a little bit further east. I just kept moving east. And you keep moving east, you'll find out there's nowhere else where to go when you get there. And that's eventually what happened to me, yeah. I fell upstairs in the coach profession and had a good luck until the bottle got into the business, and I began to go to school under the influence of alcohol early in the morning. It didn't bother me a bit. Going to ball games, not drunk, but just loose. You know what I mean? Feeling good and not in trouble.
Y'all can probably do it if y'all want it. If you really want to, I'm sure anybody can change the time.
And so, as I moved along in life, the last coaching job I had, I lasted at it for 6 months. I was living in Rocky Mount, commuting to this school, and you got to understand what I was doing. I was getting up in the morning, drinking enough booze to stop shaking, so I could, go to the bathroom, shave and everything, get ready to go to school, look forward to 12 o'clock when I could get back to the car to get a booze, or get into the gymnasium way outside on my head. And this went on for about 6 months until one day, the principal of the school just asked me, says, "We don't need you anymore." They talked to me about my drinking before. And then it caused me to resign from Cooper's when I left down there on account of my drinking. And I left school that day and came back to Rocky Mount. And I don't know what happened for a period of 2 weeks, but I woke up in jail for the first time in my life in Nashville. And a man began to talk to me through a cell door, and I found out later he was a county health doctor and wanted to help me. And I had a mother that loved me to death, and my mother had come down there and tried to straighten out all this mess. And I remember him telling me, he said, "We're going to send you a place where they can cure you and help you get along all right." And the place they sent me for the cure was the State Insane Asylum in Raleigh. And I was 27 and a half years old, close to 28. And I never want to forget my first trip to Dix Hill. I was there not knowing really the reason I was there. I thought my mother wanted to get rid of me, I really did. And the truth is known, my mother done everything she could do for me prior to then. And I wound up in what they call the old Edson building, and with the rest of the drunks, and I didn't know they were drunks, and there was nobody there my age. The men were a lot older. And of course I began to look around, and there was no young people. And then I began to take the intellectual route. You know how we are. I was there to write a book, expose this place to society. And that was my thinking at that time. And the time came that I had to leave. I left Dix Hill for the first time. I didn't have anywhere to go. Back to me, except to my mother's home, where I was raised in Roanoke Rapids. And that's where I went back to, and my mother began to help me. And to make a long story short, in a period of 6 months, I went back to Dix Hill 5 times. And not knowing what was wrong with me, and a lot of people prayed about me, tried to help me, and I know. And my mother did all she needed to do. And the last time I was at Dix Hill, they put me in the nut part of the bug house instead of the drying out part. And that was a little bit different. Well, I found out being chained down to a bed and a straitjacket, and how you live better electrically, I found out about that too. And that's the experience I'll never forget. But I had been there so much that more or less made me a honorary attendant. I worked in the kitchen, I worked in the dining hall, and I was one of the members that in the Edson building had to go to the main building every morning to pick up the mail. And I had 2 assistants. And one morning going to get the mail, my 2 assistants and I had a staff meeting. And we decided to escape. And that's what we did that day. In Dix Hill back then, it was like cops and robbers. And sure enough, that afternoon, we went over that fence and got in downtown Raleigh, the old Andrew Johnson Hotel, and got a whole, one of them had some money, and we got a jug, was drinking and watching the 6 o'clock news. And I'll never forget it as long as I live. You know, when there's a catastrophe, if something comes on, the streamers across the bottom. And all of a sudden one popped up and says, 3 criminal and insane had just escaped Dix Hill. And one of the fellows said, wonder who the hell it is. Sure enough, a few minutes they showed those pictures, and there we were, all 3 of us. And one fellow started crying, and he got up and ran and left. And I don't know whatever happened to him. He left that day. And so the other fellow and myself decided since we were gangsters, we'd better split up. And we did, and I was on the streets in Raleigh. And a friend of my mother saw me on the streets and knew what was going on in my life, and put me on a bus and sent me back to my hometown. And unbeknownst to me, my mother was in Richmond in a hospital with a nervous breakdown, and I broke into the home and, right side of the streets, all that stuff. And stayed there for about a week, bumming off friends of my mother, and until they brought her home and found me. And when they got her home and found out what was going on, they politely asked me to leave. I remember that. They are those people to get in one room and talk about how much they love you, and then to talk about what they got to do. And the end result was they came into the room I was in and gave me a wad of money and said, we want you to leave town. We don't want you around Mother anymore. You're killing from what you're doing. And of course, at that time, I thought it was a good idea when I saw what they were going to give me and gave me a roll of money to help me get along. And I left town that day with the idea of going a good ways away because the West Coast or something. But I went 4 miles over to Weldon and I pulled into the old Weldon Hotel until the money ran out. When the money ran out, I went over to Ronald Rabbits and started writing bad checks and got in trouble. Bought a boat for a boat, but they didn't have a boat. Get the change and all that stuff. And as the end result of that, I wound up on serving a little time down east, kept moving east on a chain gang for a period of a few months. And that's where booze had got me at that time, and I didn't know anything about it. Didn't have any idea what was happening there. And it was suggested by a couple of people in the route in that time that maybe I should go to Alcoholics Anonymous. I didn't know anything about it. And I remember an old friend of mine, from some of you might have known him, from Ronald Rapids, named J.T. Cole. He was an old timer in Ronald Rapids. He took me down to Rich Square to talk to Vernon Strickland one night. Vernon was a successful lawyer, lost his practice, wound up in the Cleveland area. Dr. Bob helped him get sober, and Vernon came back to Rich Square and started the first meeting down there in Rich Square. Early meeting in eastern North Carolina. And he was a good AA member. And Vernon talked to me and told me his experiences over there, and I remember telling him that I was too young to be an alcoholic. My brain had been about pickled by then, but I was too young to be an alcoholic. And Vernon, I've never forgotten his words. He said, "Sons, I'll tell you what, you just be patient and keep drinking, and you'll find out if you're an alcoholic." And I was patient, and I found out, and it was about 1.5 years later that I found Alcoholics Anonymous. And the end result was I was finally offered a job up in Roanoke, Virginia, coaching ball and teaching. After all this mess I'd been through, a fresh new start in life, my mother financed the whole thing. And I went back to Roanoke to accept this job, and I drank on the way for the first time in about 3 months. And that was the beginning of my last drunk. The drunk that got me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I came in Alcoholics Anonymous on September the 12th, 1957. And I never want to forget it as long as I live, my first day in AA. Some of you people that are a little bit younger than me might be saying, well, he's been sober 60-some years and he's forgot all of that stuff. Oh no, I never forgot the day I got here. I'll never forget it as long as I live. And I'll never forget what it's done for me where I am today. And that was how I began I was fortunate enough to get in enough trouble in Roanoke that a man that would hired me took me to an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting. I didn't know it was a meeting at that time, and there wasn't. It was what they call the Easy Does It Club. He knew a man in AA that found, that he got in touch with, that told him where the Easy Does It Club was located in downtown Roanoke. And that's where I was carried for the first time in life to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I don't know, they had to carry me up the steps. I'd gotten to the point I could no longer find escape. I couldn't escape reality anymore. And I'd given up on everything. And this, they took me to the door. I remember taking me up the steps. And I remember the people talking to me about AA and some members. And then an old gentleman put his arm on my shoulder. Never forgot the man. His name was Old Man John, we called him. And Old Man John, by the way, came into AA at late age. And he died at, I think it was 82, with 6 years sobriety. I helped bury him. But he was the man that rang my bell, because he told me that day, he said, "Son," says, "all you got to do is listen to these people and do what they tell you to do, and you never have to be alone again." You never have to be alone again. And I've never forgotten that. And old man John was right. And right after that, I began to talk to some people and said something about a drink. They said, no, we don't do it that way. Said, you get too bad, we're going to get a doctor for you. Or, how about drinking some coffee? Drinking some coffee. And I've always said, and I still contend, that there's a hell of a lot of people making coffee in AA that don't have any business doing it. And that was one of those days. That Rover stuff, I thought it was a requirement. I drank enough of it till I got sick from it. And that night, it came into my first meeting, first AA formal meeting. A guy talked, and I don't know what he said. I remember I was thinking about going out to one and all that stuff. And the people that talked to me didn't ask me where I came from, if I had insurance. They didn't say nothing but says, we love you, and we understand, and you're going to be all right. And I'll never forgotten that. And that night, my foundation now in Alcoholics Anonymous started that night. When 3 men, unknown to me, complete strangers, got me a room at the YMCA and stayed with me all night long, talking to me about Alcoholics Anonymous and telling me their story. And I'll never forget that. And those 3 men were a part of my foundation in Alcoholics Anonymous. Because after listening to them, I remember the sun was about getting ready to come up, and one of them said, Dave, all we do, we just try to do it one day at a time. First time I ever heard it. And I look back now, and I really believe that I thought maybe I could make it for a day. But somewhere in my mind, I had to be around them to do it. And I believe it tonight. That's the reason I'm here. I haven't been to a formal AA meeting to an in-person meeting since the first week in March of 20. And this is a new experience tonight, right now, standing here, me talking. I feel like somebody else ought to be talking, I should be listening. But I'm here because of the experience I have and trying to pass it on to somebody else and set a good example. And AA has given me much. The group I came into after a little sobriety and the man that sponsored me, I was fortunate enough in my foundation to have good sponsors. And all through my career in AA, been good sponsors. And the old central group where I came in was a lot to me, and I came to Raleigh in '59, June of '59, to get a divorce from a mess I'd been in with a woman when I was drinking. And I came to Raleigh. My sponsor had helped me get I'd been to the first convention in North Carolina in 1959 and went to Salem and met people from Raleigh. And this was in May of '59. And so in June I came to Raleigh, to where I worked for 32 years in Department of Transportation in Raleigh. And of course, when I came to Raleigh, I joined the old Hayes Barker group. There were 4 groups in Raleigh when I came to Raleigh. And look at how many are there now. And I'll have to say this, in my experience in AA, and the people I've been around are people that love me. And, I've always said I was loved sober. I really believe I was loved sober. And I always thought love had a price tag on it until I got to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I know for a fact that that's true. AA has given me much. I've been part of AA now for many years. A lot of the people in this meeting tonight I know, have known. Some of you don't. But I can tell you this. This is the right place to be if you have a problem with booze. I've been here long enough to have some concerns. And sometimes I voice my concerns. After all, if you've been sober 63 years, you do have opinions. And the biggest opinion I have, I guess, is the lack of sponsorship. That's the thing that concerns me more than anything else, is the lack of sponsorship. And when I came into AA, hell, you didn't have nothing to do with it. They just gave you a sponsor. And you did what they told you to do. And the close friends I have known over the years in this room mean a lot to me. Some of you knew Charlie Painter, who was my roommate when I first got sober in Roanoke, Virginia. And I've always said, you know, give a lot of credit to Roanoke, but all of my sobriety has really been mostly in Raleigh. And to see the growth and the people in AA and the way the activity is, even in this part of the country, and Alcoholics Anonymous has been astounding to me. Like I said, I'm getting on up in years. I'm 93 years old. I'm on my 31st year of retirement, and I have a lot of people close to me. For instance, the closest person to me lived in Rocky Mount, and he died Wednesday. And that's my brother-in-law, and he passed away Wednesday. And I'm at the point in life now, I begin to project a little. I wonder, when is it going to be me? Come on, let's be honest. You have to ask for that. And my health is pretty good. I've got some problems that I'm working on. And with the help of Alcoholics Anonymous, I know I'll make and come out all right. I've been a part of this thing for many years, and there are certain things I've had to do and still do. And you know, when I came to you, I told you I was willing to go into lengths to get this program. Sometimes I have to remind myself when a guy or gal calls for help in the middle of the night. Those three men didn't say, we'll be back after breakfast and pick you up. Hell no, they came and stayed with me all night long. The second thing I have to do is I have to go to meetings of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's where it is. That's where it is. I've always said we survive among individual membership. And I have a concern now that we've been experiencing as a result of the virus. And like I said, it's been a long time since I've been to a structured AA meeting. I've been at home so much, I've told several people this, been at home so much I don't want to leave home now. But it has also helped me, forced me to take an inventory at 63 years of sobriety, to know where I really was. And it has affected me. It has affected my disposition, and there's nobody at the house but me and my wife for a long time. And it has affected me, and I'm trying to get over that. And the question I have is what's going to happen in the future about our meetings and so forth. We got a lot of people that enjoy Zooming, you know that. And that's all right. But I wonder how many of them are going to come back to the meetings. And it troubles me when I think about the commitment. And the third thing I have to do is I have to work the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, because that's what the program is all about. It tells me in my book and your book that we're granted a daily reprieve contingent on maintenance of our spiritual condition. And I know for a fact, as long as I've been trying to work those conditions, that I've been a lot better off. And the fourth thing I have to do, and you know what I'm talking about, some days I just have to hang on and do the best I can. And there's days though. Yesterday is my experience, and tomorrow is my hope. And today is going from one to the other and doing the best I can. And I feel like as long as I stand and stay with you in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, and respect your sobriety and you respect mine, that I too will be allowed another day of sobriety, because that's what it's all about, one day at a time. God has never let me down, and He never will as long as you ask Him. And the greatest thing that has ever happened to me in my lifetime is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. For what it has given me, and I in turn been able to share it with others, and hope they find the same result. There's a few lines in the big book, and I'm going to sit down, if you don't mind. There's a few lines in the big book, and I could say these and sit down, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. I tell your story, but it tells mine. And it goes like this great experience that releases us from the bondage of hatred and embraces of love is really an affirmation of truth I know. I get everything I need in Alcoholics Anonymous, and everything I need I get. And when I get what I need, I finally, I invariably know what it means to me. Now, I want to thank Paige for asking me again. I'm asking her to consider replacing me in the near future if possible. And I'm kind of exhausted, really and truly. And I appreciate you coming out and letting me be a part of this tonight. And I want you to know something, it's like I said a while ago, that the program of Alcoholics Anonymous got me to where I am today. It has given me everything that I have in life. And I thank God for it, and I thank God for y'all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. Jesse, thank you for bringing Dave to us, and we don't ever want to forget you as well. So thank you for coming and being a part of our meeting tonight. Listen, Dave talked about AA and how I thought Larry was going to tell me something. He went like this. So anyway, when Larry does like that, you pay attention. We've got several members of our group that are going to celebrate a birthday, and the youngest one is not that old, all that young in years of sobriety, but she'll go first. And if I think Rhonda is Amy's gonna give out the medallion. Why don't you come up, Amy?
Hey everybody, my name is Amy Miller. I'm an alcoholic. Hey. My sobriety date is January the 1st, 2003. My home group is the Primary Purpose Group in Wilson, and former member of here for a long time. It's really good to be here. Dave, thank you so much. You reminded me that, somebody with 64 years of sobriety was affected this last year. The fact that I was affected this last year, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. So Rhonda is picking up 13 years. Don't let the number scare you. It's a good number. And Rhonda came into my life. She had I don't know, 4 or 5 years, and we've grown up together, and I've watched her become an amazing member of this home group, an amazing member of her community. I've seen her right relationships with her family. I mean, her children are back in her life. She's a grandmother to her grandchildren. Sponsorship has given me that opportunity and that blessing to watch her life become whole and right again through Alcoholics Anonymous. And I was joking with Jay. He was asking me, was it an honest? And I said, I tell you one thing I know about Rhonda. She is more honest than I'd put her honesty up against grown men. I mean, she comes at you sometime, you're like, dang, Rhonda, I don't know if I'd have been that honest. Brutal, she puts a whole nother level on brutal, and I appreciate that, and she's an example that we can always grow from our sponsees. It's not just our sponsors that teach us, but sometimes it's our sponsees that teach us our greatest lessons. So Rhonda has been a blessing. She's hung with me through this year of challenge, and help me welcome Rhonda with 13. That one right there.
Thank you, everybody. My name's Rhonda Reed. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 15th, 2008. And for those that might wonder, that is my real sobriety date. There's a little bit of a inside joke there with some of us. I was thinking earlier this week, 13 to 25 years ago, my family was searching the obituaries for Jane Does that had been found because I would just go MIA. And they knew the kind of life I was living, and thankfully they never found me in the obituaries. My brother, who I lost this past year, he saved my life. Well, God saved it, but God used him. He turned me in, went behind my back and turned me into law enforcement, and that started my road. And I had no relationships with my children when I started AA. I have a wonderful relationship with my children today. I have 5 grandchildren, and I've helped raise 2 of those up until a couple of years ago. And you know, me and Bill have started watching Dr. G, Medical Examiner. And I don't know how half of us live. When you see how many people she gets in the morgue that have died from alcoholism and other things, and the damage it does to your body, we're watching that and I'm like, dang, how did I ever survive? How's my liver even still functioning? But anyway, I want to thank Amy for putting up with me for for probably 10 years now, maybe 11. It's been a hot minute. And my home group that has pushed me in directions I didn't want to be pushed. And just AA and God, I'm telling you, I've got a beautiful life. It doesn't always go smoothly, but it is well worth living. So thank everyone.
Rhonda, are you going to give Paul, would you come back and do that?
It's me again. I'm Rhonda Reed. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is May 15th, 2008. And I'm giving a medallion to a lady that can't be here due to health reasons. She has been one of the most isolated people I know of for the last year. I've been working with her for almost a year. I love this woman to death. I really do. There's a joke that God sends us, and she is a lot like me when I first came in. Anyway, I'd like to congratulate Paula. I've got your medallion with me. I'll get it to you. Congratulations on 5 years, Paula.
Just to explain what we're doing, we're handing out medallions to home group members, and we don't give out those little pieces of plastic. What we offer here at our home group is membership in a home group, membership in Alcoholics Anonymous, and sponsorship. If you would be available for it, it's here. So if anybody is here that is not a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, you can join tonight by just simply saying, I want to be a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, and we'll be glad to give you a hand of applause for that. Otherwise, we're going to proceed on and hand out medallions to the home group. I'm going to present the next one, and it's to a man that's a special friend. I happen to be his sponsor, but more than that, I've come to love him and care for him very much. He's been in my life a lot of years, and he is an excellent home group member. He is always looking for ways to help, and will do anything the home group asks him to do, and he sponsors meetings and sponsors men in the home group, and is a trusted servant in our home group. So this gentleman's name is Jim Rounder. 16 years.
My name is Jim Rounder, and I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date's the 23rd of May, 2005. And it's a great honor to pick up this chip for 16 years. Looking back over it, it ought to be more than that. The reason is, Dave talked about you can only move so far east. I grew up in Arkansas. And I came east, and I wound up in 1990 in Wilson, Rocky Mount area. And it became very clear to me once I moved here that I had a problem with alcohol. And I'd been drinking for 30 or 40 years. But I got started in Alcoholics Anonymous in about 1994 or so. Unfortunately, I'm a very slow learner, and but Paige was with me all the time, and it would take me another 15 years before I got any type of sobriety that was worth keeping. But what's great about this group in AA is they always welcome you back. They never turn you away. They always give you another chance. And that's the way the program works. And it's worked that way for me for many years. And I'm proud to be a member of this group, and proud to be able to be of service to those around me who need help with AA. And I thank you all very much.
I think that's all the formal, except for perhaps passing. I don't know if we're going to pass a bag or a basket, but there's one on the table if you could start it. We have a 7th tradition, and if you will contribute to that, and I'm going to talk to you a moment while that basket is going around about self-support, or the 7th tradition. The 7th tradition states that Alcoholics Anonymous is self-supporting through our own contributions. The contributions help to cover the group's expense. But the 7th tradition is more than simply paying the rent and other group expenses. It is both a privilege and a responsibility of individual groups and members to ensure that our organization at every level remains forever self-supporting and free of outside influence that might divert us from our primary purpose. The monetary amount of each contribution is secondary to the spiritual connection that joins us in unity with AA groups around the world. And what we use that money for is we make a donation to this church once a month, and allows us to meet here. We make donations regularly and routinely to the service structure, that is the district. We're part of District 91, and we're part of Area 51, and then we also contribute to World Services General Service Office. And we support our group. Our trusted servants can go anywhere that AA calls them to go to meet, and we pay those expenses. When we have money left over, we give it away. We find a purpose that'll be helpful to other alcoholics. Thank you, Larry. And so that's what we do with the monies. So that concludes our meeting tonight. I'll give you one more housekeeping notice, and that is the group at large. Anybody that wants to is welcome to join us to go to a local restaurant that we have a relationship with. they know who we are, and they welcome us, and they would welcome you. So you're welcome to join us to go out to eat after this meeting. Give us a few minutes to kind of clean up, and then we'll do that. And otherwise, again, we welcome you to come back to our group on Tuesdays and Fridays, and especially the last Friday of the month when we have a open speaker meeting. Next month, we'll be celebrating a birthday, and a member that's here will be the speaker, Steve M. I'll be back next month to bring the message. How about one more hand of applause for Dave? And we're going to close with the gift. Let me get that real quick. We either give a plaque or a gift to our guests that speak with us. Now, Dave Cook over the years has got more plaques than he's got walls to put them on, like some of our other members. He's a fan of Eastern North Carolina barbecue from Wilson, North Carolina Parkers. That bag's full of it. So anyway, we're going to send him home, put some meat on it, okay? And then our group closes in what we call the regular format. We're going to close with a reading off of page 100, and then we're going to say the Lord's Prayer. And let me say something about the Lord's Prayer for a moment. About 2 weeks ago, we had a district meeting of District 91, all the groups in 5 counties that came about. And after that meeting, the DCM called for us to close with the Lord's Prayer, and we all stood up, and automatically, not a person said a word, automatically, we held hands in a big circle. And we've been doing that ever since. If you're comfortable doing that, please join us, because that's what we're going to do. And we're going to close with that Lord's Prayer. Anyway, page 100. I'm going to get a home group member to read it. Bill, would you come up and read page 100?
If I can get there.
You can make it.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Bill Quillen, and I am an alcoholic. My sobriety date is December the 28th of 2008. I wish I'd met you a long time ago. Both you and the new man must walk day by day in the path of spiritual progress. If you persist, remarkable things will happen. When we look back, we realize that the things which came to us when we put ourselves in God's hands were better than anything we could have planned. Follow the dictates of a higher power, and you will presently live in a new and wonderful world, no matter what your present circumstances.
Thank you, Bill. And if you will, join me in the Lord's Prayer. Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Fine job. I might not drink today.
Page.
That's been on ice.
Page. I have ice. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
All right.
I want to introduce myself. I'm Richard. Richard, I'm page 4.
No, not that I know of.
I came with William. I drove separate. Yeah, there are. I'm telling you, yes. Definitely down for that. Good. But everyone.